So today I just wanted to share with you guys how I set up my timeline. That's what I call it. You might call it an assignment calendar or a due date calendar or just calendar. I just call it a timeline because that's the name of the assignment in the program that I took 2 years ago where we had to do this for a grade and I just never stopped doing it. So I've already kind of started a little bit here. So I've made up, I'm not going to do my actual courses, but I've made up courses you might have. So math, cinema, literacy, poetry. I just made those all up. So up here at the top, I color code each one. Again, color code them however you want. And that stays at the top of every single page. That's a header. Then I just wrote timeline on here, and it is a title so that way if you open up this, you can quickly get to the timeline, the discussion rules, big assignments, peer review. Sometimes I also like to add a title here that's called this week. That way I can quickly go to the week that we're in. I just haven't done that yet. So basically what I do is I go through my course syllabus, I go through my Brightspace, Pulse, whatever you have that tells me all of the due dates that I have. So let's start with basic math. Let's say that for basic math, my timeline told me that on August 31st, which you could write the dates if you want. For me, it's just too time consuming. So I write the date over here. I know it's the 25th, 26th, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Easy peasy. So on August 31st, I have a calculus exam due. So I write that in here. If I could spell it. And then I would highlight that in yellow because it is for my math exam. And then anything that's due, I make bold. That way I know that it's due. But it's due on the Sunday. That doesn't mean I have to do it on the Sunday. So the way that my brain works, this semester I have 4 courses. So Monday is a course, Tuesday is a course, Wednesday is a course, Thursday is a course. Friday and Saturday are my catch-up days or big project days. And Sunday I take to relax. I make sure all my things are handed in, I make sure my discussions are done, and I relax. So let's say that Monday is going to be my math day. So on here I will write calculus exam. Okay, I'm still going to highlight it in yellow because that's what course it is. But I'm not going to make it bold. It just means that on Monday I need to do my calculus exam. Then if I do my calculus exam, I highlight it, Shift Command X, puts a line through it. That way I know that it's done. And because it only has one step to it, I can also cross it off over here so that on Monday I'll just go over and I know that I have it done. So on Sunday when I go through to look, I just look for anything that's not crossed off. The other thing that I also do is if I know that here on September 3rd for my poetry class, I have a poetry write-up. And poetry is blue. And that is due, so it's bold. I know that it's due over here, but if it's a big assignment, I'm going to say Tuesday is going to be my poetry class day. So on Tuesday up here, I will write work on poetry write up. And then I will highlight that in blue because it is for poetry. Now, my course that I'm taking is fully online. So that means instead of having in-class discussions with my peers, every week for every class we have a discussion. So let's say we're doing literacy. Literacy is going to be my Wednesday class. So I'll write discussion 1. And that is for literacy. So it is yellow and it's not due. So I don't do it that way, but it is due on Sunday. And again, that's highlighted and bold. Now, for the discussions, we also have replies, but our teachers like it if we do not do our replies on the same day that we did our post because they want us to be talking throughout the whole week. So even though Wednesday is my day to be working on literacy, I'm going to do on Thursday reply number 1. And that is for literacy, so it is red. I have to do 2 to get full marks, so the next day I do the next one, reply number 2. And that is for literacy, so it is red. And what I like to do when I'm doing my replies, just to keep things straight, is once I've done the reply, I'll write who I did it to. So let's say I did this one to Jane. That way I know who to go back and look to see if Jane wrote a reply to my reply. And then I know week to week 2 that I'm kind of replying to different people, not just Jane. So once that's done, Shift Control X, and that'll X out. And I have obviously done my first discussion, so I'll cross that out too. But I will not cross out that the discussion is done until I've done both of my replies and replied to all of the replies that I've sent out. So that's why it's on Sunday. I waited till the end of Sunday to finish that. I think that's everything for this portion. Oh, I also I have the week written again because sometimes I have so many things due that it will take up a whole page. So then I always just have week of at the top of the page, like it is here. So I have myself all the weeks that I've done. If it is like reading week, whatever, I'd probably highlight it and just make them a different color. Then we get down here to discussion rules. So like I said, each class, because it's online, has discussions instead of in-person talking. So again, I would write the class. So this is poetry. And usually in the syllabus, it will tell you how many times you have to reply. And then some of my professors have character limits. So if this one is 200 characters, and they might say like, keep it concise. Okay, and then rules. So they might say something like, you need 3 references for each post. Okay, and then we have the due date. So majority of the time, the professor will tell you your initial post is due on Wednesday, and 3 replies by Sunday. This is a good thing to get done right away because then you can see what is due on Wednesday. So if 3 of your courses are due on Wednesday and 1 of them is due on Thursday, you're going to decide that this Thursday discussion is going to be your Thursday class because you have until Thursday to write the initial reply. You can't pick one of your courses that say Wednesday to be a Thursday class because it was already due, and that doesn't make any sense. So getting this done and knowing all the rules is helpful to start your timeline so you know where to put everything, like which day to pick for each course. But it's also helpful because you have so many discussions and so many rules, and nobody wants to keep those in their brain, so this lays it all out for you. I refer back to this multiple times throughout the year. Oh, which one of these did I need references for? Or which one needed to be concise? Which one did it not matter? Which one do I need 3 replies for? Any rules that are in your syllabus, put in here. You can add more notes, whatever you want to this. Then we get down here to big assignments. So like I said, each class will have discussions and maybe like a quiz and a quick little assignment. This is for the big assignments. So same thing, we just write the course. This is math. The big assignment might be a graph that you have to make. So then you write what it is and when it is. So let's say this is due September 12th. You don't fill this in yet. That's for later. You don't even need this section, but you write what it's worth. So this is worth 30% of my entire grade. In the notes, I might write something like, this is a group project. And then over here, this little asterisk, this is where I write down what stage I'm at in the progress. So obviously it's the first week of school. All I've got done so far is started the Excel doc. Then as it progresses, I'll change this to final edits needed, something like that. And then at the end, I will be done. And when it's done, I highlight the whole thing in gray. And then I know I only need to look at the ones that are not gray any longer. And I'll come back and write in the grade too, just so I can quickly look at it. This one here I don't use every year. On some of my courses, we had something called a peer review, which is where we graded our peers. The first time I did it, I didn't realize how in-depth the reviews were going to be, but we had to grade our peers on what day they were handing their assignments in, how many times they were replying, how in-depth their reply was, did they have references. We were basically the teacher in that project. So I created this so that I could write the person's name, the day they did their first initial post, the day they did their reply, how many replies they did, the content that they had, was it good, was it not so great, and then what mark I would give them. Because at the end of the year, going back to reread and write down what days people had posted things was ridiculous. So now I know that if I have a peer review, I'm going to do this right at the beginning. I haven't used it in 2 semesters now, but I just keep it in there just in case. So that is my breakdown of my timeline. I really hope that this helps some people because this is what has kept me sane for the past 2 years of online school while also working full time. Being able to just look at a day, you block out the rest, you just look at Monday, you know, this is what I need to do today, you don't even worry about the rest because you've told yourself what you need to get done that day based on the due dates. So even though this poetry write-up is due, I don't need to think about it until I get to this day. And then I go, oh yeah, I need to work on that. It's written on my timeline. I don't have to look 3 weeks ahead to see what's due to think about what I need to work on. Most of the time, my Saturdays are empty, and that's a perfect day to look ahead and say, what needs to be done? What should I be working on today? But having it all written out, not just when the assignment's due, but when you are going to do each thing, is a life changer. So I hope that this helped some people and that you will be able to excel in your online or in person courses this year. We all got this.